I've done that in the past. We could look at dates based on just the month in the year. We could do things by holidays, right? We could look to see if people buying presents for Valentine's Day also make purchases for Easter. Or seasonal, right? Back to school versus winter. So it really depends on how you want to see the data and how your business operates, right? But at the very least, I would say month and year is a really good way to create cohort groups. And then we could do it around the products, right? If I'm the North Face or Patagonia or Mountain Hardware or some other company that sells outdoor equipment, I might want to segment the latency of activity based on the products that you buy, right? So I might want to segment by, are you looking at backpacking equipment or camping equipment or fishing equipment or skiing equipment? That's a really important way to segment because you'll find that people who buy different products will have different latencies between different types of activities that they perform. And finally, we always want to look at channel, right? So did someone come in through paid search or display or email or social? Again, understanding their latency and their time between actions will be slightly different from one channel to the next. So these are kind of three general groupings of the way that we want to bundle our cohorts together. So how do we take kind of this functional idea of bundling people into these groups called cohorts and turn that into Google Analytics data? Well, like a lot of people have talked about, we use custom variables and we use another thing called events. And luckily I don't have to get into details because you've had some amazing speakers. I assume they're amazing. They were in Swedish, so I don't know, but they looked really impressive. To tell you about the details, right? So there's pros and cons of using custom variables versus using events. And I'll just go quickly through this because you've heard a little bit about these features, right? Custom variables are really cool because they can persist, right? They can last beyond one visit. You can set a custom variable as a cookie and then it will stick around, assuming that the visitor doesn't delete it, right? And so that's a really, really good thing when you're building cohorts because you want data to stick around because you want to put someone in a group based on some time and have it stick around. It's kind of limiting, right? You're only allowed 5 custom variables unless you use premium. And the amount of data that you can put in there, literally the number of characters is limited as well. So those are a couple of downsides. Or you could go ahead and use events. Event tracking is amazing, and it's got a lot of pros. The one bad thing about events is that it doesn't persist, right? You fire off an event in Google Analytics, and it just exists for that instant of time, and we actually do store it across the entire visit, but it doesn't persist from one session to the next. So that's a drawback. The pros, though, are that you have almost unlimited number of events, right? We're only limited by really the database size that we have on our back end. And there is almost no limit to the way that you structure or format the data. You can create lots of different cohorts around a single thing. Like you could create, 5 different interpretations of date. So there's pros and cons of each. And I think as I walk through some use cases that I was playing with, we'll talk about why one might be better than the other. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that has to happen. You have to do some more programming. And I always hate it when we make people do more coding because I feel like it's a barrier to doing a lot of this stuff. So regardless, you're going to have to code, and I'm sorry. I'll try to make it better in the future. But I don't know if we will.